The young and the restless spoilers shock. In the midst of the swirling chaos and intricate alliances that had defined Genoa City's turbulent underworld, a new figure emerged from the shadows, a young, enigmatic entrepreneur by the name of Aristotle. His arrival sent shockwaves through the established order, shaking not only the foundations of long-standing family rivalries but also the very identities of those entangled in the drama. Although his backstory seemed as fantastical as the rest of the convoluted plots plaguing the city, there was an undeniable magnetism about him that made even the most hardened characters pause in apprehension. Aristotle was roughly the same age as Kyle and Billy, two figures whose lives had been marked by unexpected twists and betrayals. Yet, Aristotle's reputation as a self-made business magnate set him apart from his peers. His cutting-edge ventures and fearless approach to business had earned him a level of respect and fear that even Victor, a man known for his ruthless tactics, could not ignore. Victor's unease around Aristotle was palpable, a testament to the young man's power and the potential threat he posed to Victor's carefully maintained empire. The stakes grew higher when Aristotle aligned himself with the Abbott family, a powerful dynasty that had long been locked in a bitter feud with the Newman clan. In an alliance that surprised everyone, Aristotle teamed up with Billy to craft a strategy aimed at dismantling the Newman stronghold once and for all. Their collaboration was not merely a business maneuver, it was a battle of wits and wills, a high-stakes game in which the future of Genoa City itself hung in the balance. Yet, beneath this explosive alliance lay an even deeper, more personal intrigue. Rumors began to circulate, hints of a connection between Aristotle and Jack, the ever-resilient strategist known for his unwavering composure amidst chaos. Whispers in hushed tones suggested that Aristotle was not merely a new ally in the fight against the Newmans, but something far more significant: he was the biological son of Jack and Diane. This revelation was as shocking as it was explosive, casting a long, dark shadow over the carefully constructed lives of those involved. For years, Kyle had struggled under the weight of an unspoken suspicion that he was not, in fact, the true scion of Jack and Diane. His entire existence had been clouded by rumors that his identity had been swapped, a secret that no one had dared to confirm with a DNA test. Jack, steadfast in his belief in the present and the ties that bound the family together, had always dismissed the notion with unyielding trust in the established order. But the emergence of Aristotle as the true heir threatened to upend that trust completely. As the truth began to unravel, the fabric of the Abbott family was stretched to its breaking point. Kyle, long haunted by the possibility of not belonging, found himself on the precipice of a revelation that would shatter his self-image. The notion that Aristotle was the rightful son, born of Jack and Diane, was a narrative twist so extreme it defied belief. For Kyle, who had spent years fighting to earn his place in the family legacy, the impending confirmation of this truth promised nothing but pain and betrayal. The shock of learning that he was not the child his parents had always celebrated would be catastrophic. Rumors foretold that, once the truth was out, Kyle would be summarily dismissed from Abbott, his career and identity inextricably linked to the family tarnished beyond repair. In the ensuing days, as clandestine meetings were held in secret rooms and whispered phone calls exchanged coded messages, the city braced itself for a confrontation of epic proportions. Aristotle's collaboration with Billy was set to launch a full-scale offensive against the Newman family, a coup that promised to redraw the power map of Genoa City. Meanwhile, Jack wrestled with the dual burden of familial love and duty. The bond between him and Aristotle was no longer merely professional or amicable, it was blood, an irrevocable connection that had been hidden in plain sight. This revelation forced Jack to reconsider everything he thought he knew about his past, and to face the possibility that the life he had meticulously built was founded on lies. As the international intrigue deepened, alliances were forged and rivalries intensified. The Abbott family, bolstered by Aristotle's business acumen and Billy's unyielding loyalty, prepared to launch an assault that would challenge the Newmans' dominance. The plan was audacious: lure the enemy into a trap set in the heart of Genoa City, where every shadow and every whispered secret would be laid bare. Yet even as the strategy took shape, the team had to contend with the unsettling possibility that Martin, another dark figure whose past actions had rippled through the city, might still have allies lurking in the background. The specter of additional traitors, hidden behind layers of deception, added another layer of urgency to the unfolding drama. In a dramatic twist that could have come straight out of a fevered dream, Aristotle's presence not only threatened to upend the power dynamics between the Abbott and Newman families but also to unravel the very core of Jack's personal life. The realization that Aristotle was his son with Diane, a fact that had been carefully concealed for years, struck Jack with a force he had not anticipated. Every memory, every moment of parental pride, now came tainted with the bitter taste of deceit. Jack's internal conflict was mirrored by the turmoil of those around him, as the repercussions of this discovery began to spread like wildfire throughout the family. The shockwaves reached even the most distant corners of Genoa City, shaking the trust and loyalty that had long defined its most prominent figures. For Kyle, the looming revelation was nothing short of a nightmare. Already suspected of being an impostor in a family where identity and legacy were everything, the prospect of being exposed as not the true son of Jack and Diane was unbearable. His position within Abbott was built on a foundation of doubt and whispered accusations, a legacy that now seemed destined for collapse. The inevitability of a DNA test, an event that no one had dared to initiate until now, hung over him like a dark cloud. And as the pressure mounted, so did the certainty that once the truth was confirmed, Kyle would be cast aside without a second thought, his future with Abbott effectively terminated. The unfolding drama was as maddening as it was captivating, with each new twist threatening to overwhelm the already precarious balance of power in Genoa City. The writer responsible for these labyrinthine storylines seemed to revel in the chaos, crafting plotlines so wild and unexpected that even the most seasoned viewers found themselves caught off guard. Every revelation, every shocking detail, served as a reminder that in this world of deceit and ambition, nothing was ever as it seemed. The collision of personal betrayal, corporate warfare, and long-hidden family secrets promised a crescendo of dramatic tension that no one could escape. As the final act drew near, the stage was set for a showdown that would not only determine the fate of the Abbott and Newman families but also redefine the very nature of truth and identity in Genoa City. Aristotle, with his cool demeanor and relentless drive, stood as the embodiment of both hope and chaos, a symbol of the new order that was ready to emerge from the ruins of old secrets. His alliance with Billy and the Abbotts signified a turning point in the struggle against the Newmans, yet it also cast a long, dark shadow over the personal lives of those involved. Jack, now torn between his duty to protect his family legacy and the painful truth of his past, prepared to face the consequences of secrets long buried. The impending revelation of his true son threatened to dismantle the carefully constructed narrative that had defined his life for decades. And for Kyle, whose entire existence was about to be upended by the cruel hand of fate, the coming days promised nothing but anguish and the bitter taste of betrayal. In this maelstrom of ambition, deception, and raw emotion, Genoa City was on the brink of transformation. Every character, every alliance, was poised for a dramatic reversal that would forever alter the landscape of their intertwined lives. The narrative, as intricate as it was unpredictable, served as a reminder that in the world of high stakes and hidden identities, the truth was both a weapon and a curse, one that could bring redemption or lead to complete ruin. And as the final curtain loomed, the citizens of Genoa City braced themselves for a revelation that would echo through the ages, forever changing the destiny of those caught in its relentless grip. In the midst of the escalating chaos in Genoa City, the revelation that Aristotle might be the biological son of Diane and Jack sent shockwaves through every corner of their world. For years, Diane and Jack had held dear the belief that Kyle was their only son, the one they had nurtured and celebrated as their own. The sudden emergence of Aristotle, coupled with the damning DNA results clutched in Jack's trembling hands, shattered that long-held certainty and forced the entire family, and even the business empire they had built, to confront a reality that none of them had ever imagined. Jack's hands shook as he stared at the printed DNA report. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered, This can't be real." The document was irrefutable. It told a story of betrayal, secrets, and hidden pasts, and narrative that completely upended the carefully constructed life he had shared with Diane. The news hit him like a tidal wave, drowning him in guilt, sorrow, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. How could everything have gone so disastrously wrong? Was it possible that, in all their years of trust and love, they had been living a lie? Diane, equally distraught, found herself caught in a storm of conflicting emotions. She had always believed that Kyle was the cherished child they had hoped for, a beacon of promise for the future of their legacy. Now, the possibility of having another son, one whose existence had been shrouded in mystery until now, forced her to reevaluate every memory and every decision. "Jack, how do we even begin to process this?" she sobbed, her voice quivering with disbelief. "Our entire family, our future, it's all crumbling before our eyes." The implications of this revelation extended far beyond the personal realm. Within the corridors of Jabot, a dynasty built on trust, power, and unyielding ambition, questions began to swirl. Aristotle's arrival was not just a familial bombshell, it had the potential to redefine the future of the company. For years, Kyle had proven himself as a competent and trusted leader within Jabot. His vision, his dedication, and his ability to navigate the treacherous waters of corporate warfare had earned him the respect of colleagues and rivals alike. Now, with Aristotle emerging as the biological son of Diane and Jack, the balance of power was thrown into disarray. Could Aristotle, with his sharp intellect and fresh perspective as a successful young entrepreneur, be groomed to take over Jabot in the future? Or would his existence only serve to deepen the rifts within the family and the company? The boardroom, once a place of decisive authority, had now become a battleground of emotions and power struggles. Some senior members of the family and the company whispered in hushed tones that Aristotle's presence was a destabilizing force, an unwanted complication that threatened to upend years of tradition and loyalty. Others, however, saw it as an opportunity. Aristotle's reputation as a formidable businessman and his alliance with the Abbott family had already instilled a sense of awe and even fear among their rivals. If harnessed correctly, his unique perspective and entrepreneurial acumen could propel Jabot into a new era of innovation and power. Meanwhile, Kyle grappled with his own demons. Every day, the lingering doubt about his true identity gnawed at him. Accusations and suspicions, once mere whispers, had now grown into a full-blown scandal threatening his position within the family. His dedication to Jabot, his achievements, and even his personal relationships were all cast under a dark shadow of uncertainty. "I've given everything to this family and this company," he thought bitterly. "And now, I'm being accused of being an impostor in my own home." The psychological toll was immense, and Kyle knew that if the truth of Aristotle's paternity became widely known, his career, and his very sense of self, could be in jeopardy. In a tense family meeting held in the quiet solitude of the Abbott mansion, emotions reached their boiling point. Jack, his voice thick with sorrow, addressed Diane and a select group of trusted advisors. "We must face this head-on," he declared, his tone resolute despite the raw grief evident in his eyes. "Hiding the truth will only lead to further damage. We have to decide how we move forward, as a family and as the leaders of this company." Diane's eyes met his, filled with the same determination that had once ignited their shared dreams, but now tempered by the bitterness of betrayal. "We have built so much on the foundation of trust," she replied softly. "If we let this divide us, everything we've worked for will fall apart." As the debate raged on, another pressing question loomed large: what would become of Aristotle himself? His past was as enigmatic as his future was uncertain. To some, he was the rightful heir, an emblem of hope and a fresh start. To others, his arrival was the spark that had ignited a powder keg of long-standing grudges and unresolved conflicts. Would he embrace his newfound identity and work with the family to mend the rifts that had long been festering, or would he seize the opportunity to carve out his own path, even if it meant challenging the very foundation of Jabot? In a parallel development, back in the labyrinthine streets of Paris where Aristotle had once operated under a cloak of mystery, preparations were underway for his possible return to Genoa City. Rumors abounded that his strategic alliance with Billy and the Abbott family was only the beginning of a larger, more intricate plan. The question on everyone's lips was whether Aristotle could navigate the treacherous world of corporate politics while contending with the personal baggage of his origin. Could he step into the role that many had envisioned for him and help steer the family, and Jabot, toward a future unmarred by the legacy of deceit? The unfolding drama was a maelstrom of emotion, ambition, and unforeseen twists. Jack's tear-stained DNA report was more than just a piece of paper. It was a symbol of the shattered trust and the painful journey that lay ahead. Every character was forced to confront the possibility that everything they had believed in, their identities, their relationships, their legacies, was nothing more than a carefully constructed facade that was now crumbling under the weight of undeniable truth. In hushed conversations in the corridors of Jabot's headquarters, longtime associates and new players alike pondered the fate of the company. The debate was fierce. On one side stood those who believed that the revelation of Aristotle's true parentage could inject fresh energy and visionary leadership into Jabot, setting the stage for a bold new era. On the other, a contingent of conservative voices feared that such a seismic shift would only deepen the existing fissures, tearing the family and the company apart. If Aristotle can prove himself, one executive murmured, then perhaps he can be the one to unite us. But if not, if his presence only highlights the divisions we've long tried to ignore, then we might lose everything we've built. Amidst this turbulent backdrop, the emotional weight of the family's predicament bore down on every member. Jack and Diane, having weathered decades of storms together, now faced the most personal betrayal of all. Their love had been a steady beacon, but now that beacon flickered uncertainly in the face of overwhelming doubt. The pain in Jack's eyes was mirrored by Diane's trembling resolve as they stood on the precipice of a future that was as daunting as it was unpredictable. Would things have been better if Aristotle had never appeared? Jack's inner monologue echoed this haunting question. The answer was not simple. Without Aristotle, perhaps the familiar order might have continued, Kyle remaining unchallenged, the family united in its traditional values. But deep down, both Jack and Diane knew that hiding from the truth would only delay the inevitable reckoning. The past had a way of resurfacing, no matter how much one tried to bury it. As discussions and debates continued late into the night, the once clear lines of loyalty, legacy, and identity became blurred beyond recognition. Every whispered rumor, every shared tear, and every impassioned argument added to the complexity of the situation. The revelation of Aristotle's true parentage was not merely a plot twist, it was a catalyst that forced everyone to re-examine their priorities and confront the uncomfortable reality that the life they had built was founded on secrets and lies. In the end, the future of Jabot, and indeed, the entire fabric of Genoa City, hung in a delicate balance. The coming days would demand tough choices and profound sacrifices. Jack and Diane would have to decide whether to embrace this new chapter of their lives with open hearts or to cling desperately to the old ways, even if it meant sacrificing the truth. Meanwhile, Kyle, burdened by the potential loss of everything he believed he was, faced an uncertain road ahead, a road that might lead to redemption, or to irrevocable isolation. The saga of deception, ambition, and heartache continued to unfold, leaving everyone to wonder, was this explosion of truth a painful disruption destined to tear the family apart, or could it ultimately pave the way for healing and renewal? One thing was certain, the revelation of Aristotle's identity was the spark that had set in motion a chain of events no one could have foreseen, and the consequences of that spark would be felt for generations to come.